I'm Justin Cohen. Welcome to Gurus. Progress is driven by the game changers, the people who break the rules. They don't care for the status quo, they create a new status quo. For them, it's not about money, it's about mission. It's not about profit, it's about purpose. In their own unique way, Mavericks make the world a better place. International speaker and author Alex Granger has created an acclaimed 5-step formula to becoming the last Maverick. He will show you how you and your business can outperform the very best in your industry.
Few people in the world have the kind of patience and perseverance of a man like Strive Masiyiwa from Zimbabwe. In 1993, he set out to set up the first independent mobile telecommunications network in Zimbabwe, but he encountered stiff opposition. Guess where from? The government. Guess why? Because the Zimbabwe Post and Telecommunications Corporation, PTC, their local version of our Telkom, were vehemently opposed to it. Guess why? Because they held monopoly in that market space. In fact, the government even threatened to prosecute him if he continued with this idea of his. So what did he do? He decided he's going to take them to court, and he did. He took them to court, defied their bullying tactics, and in 1997, after being threatened, tried to be frustrated, he was able to secure his mobile operating license 4.5 years later. The truth of the matter is this. If you want to be successful in your career and become that last Maverick, you have to persevere. It means you have to have a tough skin to be able to overcome those type of challenges, but it also means you have to be patient. I love what Muhammad Ali says about training. He says, man, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. That is perseverance. A story is told of a 1936 US rowing team that won gold at the Olympics. Amazing story. The author recounts what the boat builder said. He says, it is hard to make the boat go as fast as you want to. The enemy, of course, is resistance of the water. But that very enemy, the water, is what supports you. Isn't that crazy? It's what supports you. Sometimes the challenges that we face along our journey are the very challenges that give us strength to overcome the very challenges we face. And so it's important that we understand that we need to be more than just timid feeders in the sea of conformity and start breaking out of this mindset that says mediocre is good enough, because it isn't. And the way to do that is simply this: don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion, and that takes perseverance. Thank you very much.
Alex Granger, welcome to Gurus.
Justin Cohen.
So, really?
Yeah.
Can we all be a maverick?
Well, you see, the issue with being a maverick is this, that most of us think, well, it's only reserved for the 1 percentile. We have this perception in our minds that, no, there's only those 1% people that can be mavericks. There's only that 1%. In fact, I don't even know how they measure sometimes. Have you ever heard the statistics that we're only using 10% of our brain? If we're only using that amount of our brain, how do we know it's 10%? I worry about statistics very often. But no, I think it's possible for everyone to be a maverick. The problem is we are trying to chase a certain type of maverick. We want to be the next Richard Branson. We want to be the next Bill Gates. But we don't want to be the next greatest farmer, because farming is not really a maverick.
So you're talking about a maverick mindset.
It's a maverick mindset.
What's the maverick mindset?
Well, the maverick mindset is thinking out of your box. Like I always say this, and Mark Twain, he says, we have to pick the cat up by the tail. And what are we going to learn out of that? Well, 40% of us learn more about cats, But the reality is, when we get scratched up very often, we learn so many lessons about how we can guide ourselves into the future and become more successful.
So the mavericks are willing to go out there and pick up cats by their tails, get scratched, try things out, even when they don't work. As you say, you've got to persist, right? And go against the status quo often.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the problem? One of the biggest problems in trying to achieve great success or becoming this last maverick is that perhaps we are actually too invested in the existing status quo. We're comfortable.
Right.
And getting out of our comfort zone makes, actually, this is kind of cool. I've seen it very often. You're at a conference and you say, how many of you in the room have done A, B, C? Let's see by show of hands. And you just don't get that hand-raising response because we're so comfortable in just sitting and folding our arms.
Don't try and fit in so much that you don't stand out and don't make a contribution. Where would we be if Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Steve Jobs had tried to fit in?
Can you imagine when the first car was made and someone came up and said, we need faster transport, and they were saying, well, how are we going to make these horses run faster?
Right.
They weren't thinking about, let's design something completely different that can make us go faster.
Well, this is the fascinating thing about Jobs, right? Where many businesses are listening to their customers. Jobs said, well, if I listen to my customers, they'll tell me that they want a 20 CD Walkman.
That's it.
Because they don't know
that we can create an
iPod is.
At the time.
Exactly.
So that's very important. In fact, when you talk about Steve Jobs, he always says, if you look around the world, you will see things that were created by people no different to you or I. Such profound things. So stop putting yourself in the backseat and thinking that, I'm going to be comfortable in that 99%. The 1% is reserved for Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. That place is available for you, but it's got to start here.
Number 2.
So number 2 is pattern disruption. And again, that speaks to the way we think. Pattern disruption really speaks about neuroplasticity. The fact that our brains are flexible enough to expand upon us engaging with it. I've always had this problem with when you reach your full potential. Well, the thing is, you can't reach your full potential because when your brain is fully developed, guess what? It expands. So then there's a new full potential to reach, and when you reach that full potential, guess what? It expands. So we really can't say we're going to reach our full potential because our brain is so flexible. And a great story by a chap called Destin Sandler. His friends played a big trick on him. They gave him a bicycle that they had re-engineered so that when he's riding it and he turns the handlebars to the left, the bicycle goes to the right. It took him 8 months to learn how to ride this bicycle. It was very difficult. He kept falling over and falling over. And eventually, after 8 months, the brain somehow just kicked in and clicked and boom, the new neural pathway had been set and he could ride that bicycle. The only problem was now he couldn't ride a normal bicycle. He tried the same trick on his son. I think his son was 6 years old. 2 weeks, and he could ride this bicycle that was going in the opposite direction.
And of course, that's the plasticity of the brain,
right?
Plasticity
of the brain.
So early on, we've got to inculcate this in our kids.
In our children.
And what we're trying to get them to do is fit in, right, to
Absolutely.
the box. And we're losing out on that very plastic period of their lives.
Absolutely. The younger they are, the earlier it is. It's great to start teaching them the great stuff. But it also says that as old people, we can also learn. Right. Was that the dog new tricks thingy? We won't go there.
And in fact, the brain is plastic right till the end of life.
Right till the end of life.
Number 3.
Whatever happens is normal. You see, the last Mavericks understand that during a day, the unexpected will occur. Don't get fazed about it. Don't get stressed about it. In fact, embrace it. Welcome it. Have these contingencies in your head that say, you know what, I've got my day planned out today, but you know what, just in case something happens, I'm going to be ready.
Right.
In fact, the unexpected becomes the norm.
Right.
Whatever happens is normal. The fact that you've planned your day out to be beautiful, it's in Cape Town, you can see the sea, and suddenly the weather changes. And then you're just like, can't believe. Have you seen people like, I cannot believe this weather?
Right.
Well, it's the weather.
What weather does.
Whatever happens, it's normal for the weather to do that.
And it's amazing how we resist reality. Rick Warren says you're either in a problem, emerging from a problem, or about to go into a problem.
Yeah.
And yet we go, oh my gosh, it's a problem. Hello, that's life. It's the way life educates us, right?
Absolutely.
Without problems, it'd be a little boring.
We hate change. I know a lot of speakers speak on change. But one of the tests on change is this. Wherever you are right now, this time, think of yourself just 12 months ago. Are you the same? Do you drive the same route to work? The same road? Do you wake up? In fact, do you have companions on the highway that you meet every morning at 7:15 because you're on the same road every single day? It's almost like you don't know their names, but you're kind of like all listening to 702 or 94.7 every single day. When are you going to change things up and try a back route? Try a different, leave early, leave late, do things differently.
So Mavericks have to be willing to do things different. And you're saying even in your own life, just shake up your routines a little.
Absolutely.
Number 4.
Point number 4 is ambition with sacrifice. A great story of somebody like Casper Nyovest, big hip-hop artist in South Africa. Brilliant. Began rapping at the age of 12. He's got a great story. Recognize that he's got this gift, he's got this talent. He's not going to be sitting in Mafeking waiting for the hip-hop gurus of the world to come and visit him. He's going to have to go out. You have to be ambitious as a maverick. You can't sit back and just say, I'm going to wait for things to happen. I've got to make things happen, generate the ideas, make them come to life. So he left Mafeking, came to Joburg, because this is where the hub is, and boom, met up with Double HP, another big hip-hop artist, and before you know it, he's all over the world. He's doing his thing on huge stages. He's now filled up the Dome, he's filled up the Orlando Stadium, and he's promising to fill up the FNB Stadium. That's 95,000 people. Why? Because he had ambition. But not only that, he had to sacrifice a lot of things along the way. So as a maverick, you've got to ask yourself the question, let me see, should I watch Generations or should I read a good book? You can't do those things. You can make those decisions yourself and make the sacrifice for your improvement.
So fortune favors the brave
Yep.
and the bold, but if you're going to be brave and bold, you've also got to be willing to sacrifice a few things.
You have to make the sacrifices.
Number 5.
The last one is what I've been speaking about, perseverance. Stick-to-itiveness, pertinacity, the ability to go on and be focused on what you want to achieve, regardless of what's going on around you. If you're driving in a storm, you're not going to be stopping. In fact, there's that saying that says, if you're going through hell,
don't stop.
Don't stop and take selfies. Keep going.
Keep going.
Until you get to the other side. And that's what perseverance is about.
A group of billionaires were asked to sum up their success in one word, and the one word that came up more than any else was perseverance. And I think sometimes we look at these game changers and think it came easy, they were born that way. No. You only have to look at Jobs' life. I mean, he was kicked out of his own company.
His own company.
So we've got to be willing to stick it out.
Look at, the story I shared just now, Strive Masiyiwa. 4.5, almost 5 years in court. Can you imagine how much money he must have lost? But he persevered because he believed in his dream, he believed in his goal, and he was not going to let it go. Many of us, after a few months, are giving up. I was giving up playing piano after 3 months because of Old MacDonald. Can you imagine if Strive Masiyiwa gave up in the second year, or even in the 4th year, like 5 months before his dream came to reality? We wouldn't know today that his business has just purchased Neotel, and they're going to be running Neotel in South Africa.
Wow.
But that was his dream, that was his goal. He had to have this perseverance, and that's an important aspect of becoming the last maverick.
Most people who give up don't realize how close to success they are when they give up.
True.
Alex Granger.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Justin.